another game and video, and this is an unusual one for me because this is an early morning video. And in today's video, I want to talk about whether Microsoft could become the next Sega. So it's no, well, it's long been rumored that Microsoft is struggling in the games market when it comes to the PS4 and the Xbox One. They struggled a lot. They lost that war, and when it comes to the Xbox Series X, that hasn't done as well. The PS5 is doing very well in terms of sales, but the Xbox Series X and S, not so much. And there are lots of rumours that Microsoft could dip out of the hardware market altogether. We have had some leaks, rumours, about the next gen Microsoft product, which should be called the Series X2. There were talks of a sort of a mid-line refresh for the Series X with this little sort of trash can. I don't think that's coming about. But it seems as if Microsoft are struggling at least in terms of hardware. We then get on to Game Pass. Now, I remember reading about 6 months ago, someone high up in Microsoft were saying that they really needed to sell more Game Pass subscriptions to keep the option viable. So it appears as if Microsoft are not in the strongest position in the gaming world. Sony are doing very well. Nintendo are absolutely sort of flattening everybody. And then there's lots of there's lots of things going on in the Microsoft gaming world. Now, we've had this big Activision takeover. So Microsoft have said that they will produce games for other systems. So we've got Call of Duty guaranteed for the Switch for the next 10 years. But what does that mean for Microsoft as a hardware company? Could we see Microsoft go in the same way as Sega? So Sega struggled way from sort of the Mega Drive era. The 32X came out, didn't that was really a bit of a no-goer. When the Saturn came out, fantastic console, but it just really couldn't compete with what was going on in the market. And they tried to recover that with the Dreamcast, and that didn't go very well either. So Sega bailed out of the hardware market and became a software company. All of these Sega exclusives that you could only get on Sega hardware, they then were released on other systems, and that's how Sega has been for since about the last 20 odd years, since the demise of the Dreamcast. You've had Sonic on every other platform, whether that be Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony. That's where they are. Sega are a software company. Lots of rumours about them trying to possibly come back as a hardware company. I think that's just wishful thinking from Sega fans like myself. And could we see Microsoft go down the same route if their hardware sales are slipping? If like the Xbox One and the Xbox Series just aren't doing as well, especially against its competition, could we see Microsoft dip out of the hardware market and just concentrate on games? They've got a huge catalogue of games. They're talking about bringing other games or their games onto other platforms. So, like I said, they've got the Activision. They had the Activision takeover. Could we see Call of Duty, Halo, etc. on the Switch? I mean, Halo on the PlayStation. Wow, that would be amazing. Halo on the Switch would be absolutely fantastic. And could we then see a lot of first-party Microsoft games move over to other platforms? With this Activision takeover, there is a possibility we could see things like Sea of Thieves on the Switch, which would be absolutely amazing. It makes a little sense for Microsoft to concentrate on the software side of things. I don't think that we'd see Game Pass or Xbox or Microsoft Game Pass become available on the Switch or the PlayStation. You'd get too many crossovers there. I think that would hurt sales for, especially sort of Nintendo. You'd have games that you could buy on the Nintendo eShop, but then you'd have also these games on available for the Game Pass. I think there'd be too much a crossover there, but there is a possibility we could start seeing Microsoft or Activision games that were exclusively on Xbox move over to other platforms and make Microsoft more of a software company rather than a hardware company. So we've seen it, well, not seen it, but it could take a similar step to what Microsoft do with Windows. Yes, you get some Microsoft hardware, not very much, but their main focus on that one is Windows. Windows is available on whatever hardware, whatever brand that you want to buy. It's built into the whole fabric of computers. Windows might be a Microsoft product. It might be available on some Microsoft hardware, but they're predominantly a software company on the Windows side. And could we see that happen with Xbox and Microsoft? Could the Series X be the last hardware that we see in the Microsoft range or in the Xbox line? And then moving forward from that, could we see them move just straight into a Game Pass market or just a game market? You've got about 2026, 2028 is when we should be seeing the next gen of consoles, so the PS6 and the Xbox Series X 2. Is there a possibility that by the time we get that far, Microsoft are just going to say, look, sales are so bad for our series or our line of Xbox consoles that we're not going to do anymore. We're just going to concentrate on software. Are they going to use the next few years to try and build as big a software base as possible on other platforms so that they then don't rely on sales for just their Xbox line? And could this be the end for, well, the Xbox market as we see it today as a hardware company? Are we looking at just seeing Microsoft games, Game Pass games, Activision games on all platforms? It would be really a bit of a shame for Microsoft because then it would just be up to Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo do their own thing. They really aren't much of a competition. But you've got Sony there. Sony and Microsoft have been competing since, well, the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2. And while the original Xbox made huge inroads, it was well, they took over really that spot from Sega with the Xbox to become Sony's main competition. Nintendo are always doing their own thing. I don't really think you could class them as competition for anyone, really, because you've got the Switch next to a PS4, yet the Switch is doing well, the PS4 is doing well, and then you've got the Xbox One, which you just couldn't quite match up. But the Nintendo side of things you have to ignore somehow through innovation, through gimmicky technology and their huge range of first-party titles. That's how they keep afloat. But you've then got Microsoft and Sony trying to compete, and like I said, right from the original Xbox versus the PS2, it was them. But if you then take Microsoft out of the market, if you take Microsoft and the Xbox brand out of the market, it leaves Sony to hold the fort for big, powerful games consoles, and Nintendo to just do their thing and carry on doing as it was. I don't think Microsoft or Xbox are going to disappear altogether. You'd then have no Forza, Gears of War, Halo, but it would be weird and really cool if we could see things like Halo on the Switch, and that is a possibility. Microsoft could be looking into just a shifting pattern in hardware. It makes sense if their hardware sales aren't doing as well to put more of an effort or all of their effort into the software side of things. So could Microsoft become the next Sega? It is a possibility. If their profits from hardware are not doing as well, then there is a possibility that we could see Microsoft just become, or Xbox just become, a software company, a bit like Sega and a bit like Windows. Let me know what you think. I mean, it would be a real shame. They make some fantastic hardware. Absolutely loved my original Xbox. I wasn't a big fan of the 360, but then that's because I was a PS3 owner. The Series X is a beast of a console, and well, I thought the Xbox One did pretty well, but maybe not. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Could Microsoft and the Xbox brand disappear from the hardware market? Could they become the next Sega? Could they become a model like Windows? Or is it worth Microsoft just carrying on and pushing out new hardware and just trying to cover all bases, bringing their games to all platforms, including their own? Let me know. Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.